Hello students, this is Dr. Anjani, Assistant Professor in Biotechnology. Welcome to e-learning platform in microbial technology. Today in this session, we learn about the rest of the metabolic pathways which takes place inside the microorganism. In the previous session, we learned how this glucose gets converted into pyruvate by glycolysis, pentose phosphate pathway, and another one enter-Dowdroff pathway. Today, now we'll see how this pyruvate will be further converted to generate energy. TCA cycle is otherwise called as Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle. TCA cycle means tricarboxylic acid cycle. TCA cycle or citric acid cycle is the central metabolic hub of the cell and is the gateway to the aerobic metabolism of any molecule that can be transformed into acetyl group or dicarboxylic acid. We noted in glycolysis that glucose molecule is broken down to pyruvate molecule, two molecules of three carbon compound, that is pyruvate. Although pyruvate is converted to various fermentation products as a result of fermentation that you will be learning in the future sessions, it is oxidized fully to carbon dioxide in respiration. Though the breakdown of glucose to pyruvate by earlier described pathways like glycolysis, then pentose phosphate pathway and ED pathway yield some energy. It is the degradation of pyruvate aerobically to carbon dioxide in TCA cycle. It's actually involves 8 enzymatic reaction that generates more of energy because the TCA cycle is one major pathway by which pyruvate is completely oxidized to carbon dioxide. Pyruvate is first decarboxylated and converted into acetyl-CoA. It will be converted into acetyl-CoA in the presence of pyruvate dehydrogenase complex enzyme where it carry out the decarboxylation reaction also. This is the connecting link reaction between glycolysis and TCA cycle and acts as fuel for TCA cycle. Here there is generation of NADH2 by the pyruvate dehydrogenase enzyme that generates energy or that will give the energy. So this acetyl-CoA, which is 2-carbon energy-rich molecule, initiates the TCA cycle and is condensed with the 4-carbon intermediate, that is oxaloacetate. That is oxaloacetate to form the citrate. And this is the first 6-carbon molecule formed in the Krebs cycle. So the synthesis of the citrate by combination of acetyl-CoA with oxaloacetate takes place in the presence of the enzyme citrate synthase. In the presence of the enzyme citrate synthase. Now this citrate is isomerized to give isocitrate. It will be isomerized to give isocitrate, which is subsequently oxidized further in the presence of the enzyme. That is, citrate is converted into isocitrate by the enzyme aconitase. Here, the citrate first it will be converted into cis aconitate. Later, this will be converted into isocitrate in the presence of the aconitase enzyme. Now this isocitrate will be converted into alpha ketoglutarate. It will be converted into alpha ketoglutarate. This isocitrate loses a molecule of carbon dioxide in the presence of isocitrate dehydrogenase. Isocitrate dehydrogenase will remove the carbon dioxide. At the same time, NAD will be reduced to NADH2. It will be converted into NADH in the presence of the enzyme isocitrate dehydrogenase. So this isocitrate dehydrogenase convert this isocitrate to alpha ketoglutarate. Now, this alpha ketoglutarate in the presence of succinyl-CoA synthetase enzyme, this alpha ketoglutarate will be converted into succinyl-CoA, during which there is removal of another molecule of carbon dioxide. And this succinyl-CoA synthetase adds the coenzyme A, and in addition to that, it also reduces the NAD to NADH2. Later, the enzyme succinate dehydrogenase converts this succinyl-CoA to succinate, and here there is removal of coenzyme A and there is synthesis of GTP molecule, energy molecule, that is guanidine triphosphate will be synthesized by the enzyme succinate succinyl-CoA synthetase will synthesizes the succinate. Later, this succinyl CoA synthetase will convert this succinyl CoA to succinate. It will be converting the succinyl CoA to succinate. So this succinate later will be converted into fumarate, and in the presence of succinate dehydrogenase. This succinate dehydrogenase will reduce the FAD plus, or FAD will be converted into FADH2. So alpha ketoglutarate will be converted into succinyl CoA in the presence of alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase. Later, this succinyl CoA will be converted into succinate in the presence of the enzyme, that is succinate CoA synthetase. So this succinate CoA synthetase will be involved in conversion of succinyl CoA to succinate. Later, this succinate will be converted into fumarate. Succinate will be converted into fumarate in the presence of the enzyme succinate dehydrogenase. So this dehydrogenase reduces the FAD instead of NAD. So this will convert this FAD to FADH2. So now this fumarate consume a molecule of water. Now this fumarate consume a molecule of water. In the presence of fumarase enzyme will be forming L-malate. So fumarase will be combining with molecule of water. Fumarate will be converted into L-malate. Now the malate dehydrogenase converts this malate into oxaloacetate and reduces NAD to NADH2. So totally there is removal of the carbon dioxide and there is synthesis of GTP, and NADH2 and FADH2 takes place in the Krebs cycle. So if you see the overall reaction of the Krebs cycle, the one molecule of acetyl-CoA formed from the pyruvate will releases two carbon dioxide molecule, and three, for every one molecule of acetyl-CoA, there is generation of two molecule of carbon dioxide and 3 molecules of NADH and 1 molecule of FADH2 and GTP, 1 molecule of GTP and 1 coenzyme A and 2 hydrogen will be released. So this is how TCA cycle will convert this pyruvate into carbon dioxide by 8 series of enzyme catalyzed reaction. Now, the energy rich molecules which are synthesized in the TCA cycle enters the electron transport chain. But you should know the significance of the TCA cycle. Uh, TCA cycle is a central hub in the cellular metabolism. It is the gateway to the aerobic metabolism. If any molecule that can be transformed into acetyl-CoA or acetyl group or dicarboxylic acid, although cycle generates small amount of or considerable amount of energy, its major function is to provide precursors not only for the strong forms of fuel but also for the building blocks of many other molecules such as amino acids, nucleotide bases, cholesterol, porphyrin, etc. These intermediates are the starting material for synthesis of the many amino acids or nucleotide bases, porphyrin ring, etc. For example, carbon atoms in porphyrins, that is, you will find it in the heme group of hemoglobin or the organic components of the heme group come from succinyl CoA. That will come from succinyl CoA. And many amino acids are derived from alpha ketoglutarate. Many amino acids are derived from alpha ketoglutarate. So each intermediate is the starting material for many biomolecule. So succinyl CoA will result in or it is utilized in the synthesis of the organic components of the heme, that is the porphyrin, whereas alpha ketoglutarate is the starting material for most of the amino acids. So that is the significance of the TCA cycle. Next, we'll move on to the electron transport chain. It is called as ETC, that is in short form, it will be represented as ETC. So here, the energy rich reduced powers enters the electron transport chain. When one glucose molecule is oxidized to six carbon dioxide molecules, six molecules by way of glycolysis and tricarboxylic acid cycle, only the equivalent of 4 ATP molecule is directly synthesized. Most of the ATP molecules are generated from the oxidation of NADH, that is the reduced form of nicotinamide dinucleotide. So NADH means nicotinamide dinucleotide. So that is in reduced form. That is the energy rich form. Similarly, FADH2, the reduced form of flavin adenine dinucleotide in the electron transport chain. So these two, NADH2 and FADH2, they actually generate the energy in the electron transport chain. In eukaryotic microorganism, including other eukaryotes, the electron chain operates in mitochondria because they have the well-developed membrane-bound organelles. Eukaryotes have the organelles, but prokaryotes lack it. But electron transport chain in eukaryotic microorganism operates in or it takes place in the plasma membrane because they lack the mitochondria, for example in bacteria. So that is a prokaryotic. So here the electron transport chain takes place in the plasma membrane. It will not take place in the mitochondria. The electron transport chain, when you compare to the eukaryotic electron transport chain and the prokaryotic electron transport chain, we'll find the difference in the electron carriers they employ to generate the energy or to convert this reduced power to oxidized power. So first we'll take up the mitochondrial electron transport chain. It is composed of three main membrane-associated electron carriers. Three main membrane-associated electron carriers. Flavoproteins like FMN, FAD. Cytochromes, quinones like coenzyme Q, also known as ubiquinone, or it is present in almost all the organism, hence it is called ubiquinone. And then all these electron carriers are present within the inner mitochondrial membrane and operates together to transfer electrons from donors like NADH and FADH2, FADH2 to acceptors such as oxygen. So final electron acceptor in the aerobic oxidation is the oxygen. The electrons flow from carriers with more negative reductional potential, with more negative reductional potential to the, it will move from more negative reductional potential to the positive reductional potential, and eventually they combine with oxygen and they form the water. So electron carrier, they move from more electronegative potential to more positive electro potential, and finally that will be accepted by the oxygen in the presence of oxygen and it will form water. This pattern of electron flow is exactly the same as seen in electron towers. However, the mitochondrial electron transport system is arranged into four enzyme complexes. It is arranged into four enzyme complexes, each capable of transporting electrons to oxygen. Coenzyme Q, coenzyme Q and cytochrome C connects coenzyme Q and cytochrome C. These two carriers connect the complexes with each other. The four enzyme complexes of carriers are NADHQ, NADH Q oxidoreductase, NADHQ oxidoreductase, and succinate Q reductase, Q cytochrome C oxidoreductase, and the last one is cytochrome C oxidase. Cytochrome C oxidase. So there are four complexes: NADH Q coenzyme Q oxidoreductase, then succinate coenzyme Q reductase, coenzyme Q cytochrome C oxidoreductase, and the last one is cytochrome AA3 or cytochrome oxidase, cytochrome C oxidase. So these four complexes are joined together by coenzyme Q and cytochrome C, and these are placed one after the other in inner mitochondrial membrane to carry out the series of oxidation and reduction reaction where the transfer of energy takes place from the one donor to acceptor, and it's a sequential oxidation and reduction reaction. And finally, that will be accepted by the oxygen to form the water. Here, the electrons donated from the NADH enters the complex 1, that is NADHQ, coenzyme Q oxidoreductase, and pass through a flavoprotein, FMN. Pass through a flavoprotein, that is FMN. To series of iron sulfur containing uh, proteins, and then to ubiquinone on coenzyme. Ubiquinone will accept it. Now this ubiquinone serves as a mobile carrier of electrons. So electrons donated from the FAD and FES centers FAD will be formed during the conversion of succinate to fumarate. Here also the FAD will be reduced to FADH2. So this FADH2 also transfers the hydrogen to coenzyme Q. So the coenzyme Q accepts the electron, it will accept the hydrogen from the NADH2 as well as from the FADH2. So here this NADH2 transfers the proton to the first complex, that is NADH coenzyme Q oxidoreductase, and then it will come to coenzyme Q. But here FAD will directly transfer the hydrogen to the coenzyme Q. Now, this serves as the source of the mobile the carrier, electron carrier of electrons. So, this will be receiving the electron from the complex 1 and complex 2 also, and then it passes to the complex 3, that is coenzyme Q, cytochrome C, oxidoreductase. So, this is the complex 3 will accept the hydrogen and gets reduced, and then here after it accepts the hydrogen, it gets reduced and the coenzyme Q will be oxidized. And later this will be accepted by the cytochrome C. It will be accepted by the cytochrome C, and complex 3 will be oxidized after donating the hydrogen or the electron. Then cytochrome C gets reduced. Now this cytochrome C, in order to get oxidized, this will transfer the electron to the cytochrome oxidase, otherwise represented as cytochrome AA3. Cytochrome AA3. And now this cytochrome C will be oxidized. After accepting the electron from the cytochrome C, cytochrome AA3 or cytochrome oxidase will be reduced. Now, while getting oxidized, cytochrome oxidase transfers this electron or 2H plus to the final electron acceptor, that is oxygen, to form the water. The electron flow through complexes 1, 3, complex 1, complex 3, and complex 4 is accompanied by proton flow from the mitochondrial matrix, which becomes negatively charged, to intermembrane space. The number of protons moved across the membrane at each site, number of electrons moved across the membrane at each site per pair of the electron transported, still somewhat uncertain. The current census is that at least 10 protons move outward during NADH oxidation. So, how many protons they move outward during NADH oxidation? It is 10 protons move outward during NADH oxidation. So, this is the electron transport chain which takes place in the mitochondrial membrane in the eukaryotic microorganism. Now, we'll see the electron transport chain in bacteria. When we started with the electron transport chain in the earlier slide, we just saw and I told you in case of prokaryotes, there is no membrane bound organelles, well developed organelles are absent, due to which the electron transport chain takes place in the plasma membrane. And in addition, in prokaryotes, depending on the environmental condition, they employ different type of the electron carriers to release the energy. So this is the electron transport chain which takes place in the bacteria, which is a prokaryotic organism. Here the electron transport chain operate in plasma membrane. Some bacterial electron transport chain resemble the mitochondrial electron transport chain. They resemble the mitochondrial electron transport chain. For example, Paracoccus denitrificans is gram-negative facultative anaerobic soil bacterium. It is a model prokaryote for studies of respiration. When this bacterium grows aerobically, its electron transport chain possesses four complexes in the presence of oxygen. So in the presence of oxygen, the electron transport chain possesses four complexes that correspond to the mitochondrial chain. But when this bacterium grows anaerobically, when this bacterium grows in absence of the oxygen with nitrate as its electron acceptor. In the presence of oxygen, it will use the final electron acceptor is oxygen. But when the same microorganism grows in the absence of the oxygen, this will final electron acceptor will be nitrate. So they will be switching over between the final electron acceptor depending on the environmental condition or depending on the low aeration and high aeration inside the or in the growing environment. Since most the bacteria grow anaerobically using different variety of electron acceptor substances, the bacterial electron transport chains are frequently very different. So we cannot describe the single electron transport chain for the bacteria because they will be showing different type. These bacterial electron transport chain vary in their electron carriers they employ, and are usually extensively branched. They are usually extensively branched. Electrons often enter at several points and leave through several terminal oxidases. Leave through several terminal oxidases depending on the environment. Bacterial electron transport chains are usually shorter and possesses lower PO ratio than the mitochondrial transport. Than the mitochondrial transport. That is, the amount of energy generated will be less. Thus, like prokaryotic and mitochondrial electron transport chains differ in the construction as well as their mode of operation in the organism. This is the simplified electron transport chain in the bacteria, that is E. coli. Although this E. coli electron transport chain transport the electrons from NADH, that is the reduced form of NAD, that is the electron donor, to acceptors and moves the proton across the plasma membrane. Similar to the mitochondrial electron transport chain, it is quite different from the mitochondrial electron transport chain in its construction. So electron transport chain in E. coli is short, consists of two branches. One is the cytochrome D containing electron transport chain. Another one is cytochrome O containing electron transport chain. One is cytochrome D containing electron transport chain, and another one is cytochrome O containing electron transport chain. So you will find the two branches. First of all, it is very short electron transport chain, but here it will use the two branches. One is the terminal cytochrome is cytochrome D. The another branch is cytochrome O. So this is the plasma membrane where the electron transport chain takes place, and here you'll see the series of electron carriers are placed. And here you'll see the difference in the final cytochromes. One is cytochrome O, which acts in high aeration condition, whereas cytochrome D, which acts at low aeration condition. Coenzyme Q carries electrons and donates them to both the branches. This coenzyme Q play an important role in selecting either cytochrome O or the cytochrome D. So this will transfer the electron or donate them to both the branches. but the branches operate under different growth conditions. The branches operate at different growth condition. Cytochrome D branch shows high affinity for the oxygen. Cytochrome D is having high affinity towards the oxygen, and this cytochrome D operates at even at low oxygen level. When there is very low oxygen condition is there in the environment, the E. coli electron transport chain will be activating the cytochrome D. So this NADH2 will donate its energy to coenzyme Q, and now this coenzyme Q will donate the electron to the cytochrome D branch. And since this cytochrome D has the high affinity for the oxygen, this will be driving the reaction even at lower oxygen, and will donate the electron to the oxygen because it is having high affinity towards the oxygen. Even at very low concentration, electron transport chain takes place, and the electrons later from the cytochrome D will be accepted by the oxygen to form the water under low aeration. So usually in the stationary phase of the microbial growth, usually cytochrome D will be activated. Cytochrome D will be activated. Cytochrome O shows a moderately high efficiency for oxygen and operates only at high oxygen concentration. Only when there is a high oxygen concentration, that is during the growth phase or the exponential phase, we will find this cytochrome O gets activated, and this will accept the electron from the coenzyme Q, and it will transfer the electron to the oxygen, and it will form the water. Only in the high efficiency cytochrome O gets activated, and the branch operates normally when the bacterium is in growth phase or exponential phase, where the microorganisms will be growing rapidly and actively pumps the proton in the periplasmic place. So the formation of the water by combining with the oxygen, the 2H plus will be combining with the oxygen to form the water. So here the formation of the water from the type of the cytochrome, the terminal cytochrome oxidases play an important role. At low oxygen, cytochrome D gets activated, and it will synthesize, or it will transfer the proton to oxygen to form the water. But high aeration, cytochrome O gets activated, and it will donate the proton to form the water. So this is the short electron transport chain in the E. coli, which operates both at low aeration as well as at high aeration. So in this session, we learned how the pyruvate, which is formed from the glucose, will be converted into carbon dioxide, and at the same time the reduced power, how they will be generating the energy. In aerobic condition in the eukaryotes, the mitochondrial electron transport chain takes place, but in case of the prokaryotes, the well-organized mitochondria are absent, due to which electron transport chain takes place in the plasma membrane. And here we'll find many electron carriers, and they switch over between the different electron carriers and the terminal oxidases to generate the water, or to generate the energy. And here we'll find the very short electron transport chains, and many the final cytochrome or final electron oxidases are observed in the prokaryotes. And we saw the electron transport chain of the E. coli, how it is different from the eukaryotic mitochondrial electron transport chain. And the PO ratio, that is the energy generated, the rate will be very less in case of the prokaryotes. I hope you understood this session. Thank you.